lot about is Canada has this great healthcare system. It's all smoke and mirrors. So let me show you something. This is my finger a week ago. And the thing is, what happened was that I cut off a portion of my finger with the meat cutter. And yes, I mean a portion. I didn't cut off the entire finger, but I cut off a portion. How much of it? I don't know. I'm so afraid to look at it, and it's not fully healed yet. I didn't even take off the bandage, but my whole bandage is kind of bleeding, right? Or was it? The blood is solidified, right? It's like an eggshell, right? The bandage is hard and everything. So I just kind of left it in there. Now, anyways, so if you watch those TV shows, whenever you somebody cuts off their finger or a portion of their finger, somebody puts it into a bag of ice and then runs to the hospital. Let me tell you this. I didn't do any of that, right? I just ran to a hospital. And here's the thing. I didn't even know I cut off a portion of my finger. And, they didn't even ask me if I had that portion, because when they were looking at it, right, they knew I cut off a portion of my finger, because I was so afraid to look at it. All I saw was blood, and blood was squirting out of everywhere while I was holding it. I put like paper towel on it. But anyways, I mean, you would think the first thing they'll ask you is like, where's your finger, right? No, the first thing what they do is you go there and they ask you for your health card, and then you give them the health card, and they tell you, oh, you might have to wait 7 hours. I mean, what the you mean 7 hours? Like, even if I had my finger, which I didn't, right? Even if I had my finger, it would have been dead by now, right? And anyway, so I was bleeding, and I was sitting in the waiting area, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting. And the only reason why they actually let me in, like, within 2 hours is because I let the blood drip, right? I mean, it was bleeding, all right? I'm not kidding you when I say it was bleeding. It was bleeding a lot. And I was letting the blood drip, and I was wearing white. That's the funny thing, right? I was wearing white, and I had blood all over my shirt, and people are looking at me. It's like I had a gunshot wound or something. And literally, I'm sitting there thinking in my head, are you freaking serious, man? I didn't even know what happened to my finger. I just know I cut it. And, I didn't know I cut it off, right? Or, at least a huge chunk of it. There was so much pain that it was unbelievable. But after, when the doctor was able, well, not the doctor, the nurse or whatever at the beginning, was able to see, was like, yeah, I cut it off, right? And she was trying to package it and stuff. They put on this gelatin thing, absorber, and then this other, the cotton, and she was like, oh, you're good to go. And then, she goes off, and then I'm letting the blood drip again. I'm not holding it, right? And the blood is dripping, and all the gelatin started dripping out of the cotton package. And then, she was freaking out. She gave me a garbage bin because my blood was dripping onto the floor, right? So, she cut the thing open, she packaged it again, and she's like, oh, yeah, you're going to have to press it and make sure the blood doesn't come out and stuff like that. So I'm pressing it, right? And that's where you see my finger with all the blood there, right? And this is when I was like applying pressure to it, right? When I wasn't applying pressure to it, the blood was literally just dripping onto the floor right from the finger. So anyways, after that, right, I think I had to wait another 1 to 2 hours for the doctor to see me. And they didn't repackage it or anything. It's like, and here's the stupid thing. The doctor didn't ask me where my finger was, right? Or the portion of my finger. All he said was like, oh, well, you won't need, even if it grows back or that portion, anyways, you cut off the nerves and everything else, so you won't feel anything ever again. And he was like, I was stressed out. I was like, sweat. I'm like, what the do you mean? Even if it grows back, you can't do anything. He's like, no. And then, like, it's not like he's like, oh, did you bring the finger or whatever? No. He didn't say that. He was like, just saying, oh, yeah, that's just how it is, right? I mean, this is the great Canadian healthcare system, right? I mean, if you cut off your leg, don't worry, we'll make it heal, right? So you can't ever walk again. Like, are you f***ing serious? People want to be able to walk again, right? I mean, they don't want you to just patch it up so that it heals and then they can't walk again, and that's a good job. I mean, what kind of freaking healthcare system is just like that? It's just like they don't really care about the person, right? I mean, it's like if somebody chopped off their penis, it's like, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll make sure it stops bleeding. Are you serious? We don't want it to just stop bleeding. We want everything back to normal. You're gonna stitch it up, But no, he didn't say anything like that. He was like, oh yeah, you need that finger? No shit, I need that finger. I'm like, are you like my brain was like, are you even a doctor? Of course I need my finger. I mean, don't you need your fingers? Are you crazy? Right? So, anyways, this is the Canadian healthcare system, and this is the thing that pays is paid by our taxes. I don't really understand this freaking healthcare. I mean, in other countries, right? I'm pretty sure if you come in, they'll like, if they like, they'll ask you, hey, where's the portion you cut off, or we'll try to make it so that you can walk again, and stuff like that. It's not like, oh yeah, we'll just patch it up, and don't worry, we'll put some soy sauce on it or some shit, right? And then it will heal, and then afterwards, it won't bleed anymore. I mean, are you freaking serious? Are you freaking crazy? It's almost like you have cancer. Don't worry, man. We'll give you some painkillers so you won't feel it anymore. But I don't want to not feel the pain. I want to remove the cancer. Are you freaking crazy? So this is the great Canadian healthcare system that people are so proud of. Honestly, I mean, I'm sitting there wondering what the hell is going on. The same thing happened in COVID, right? I was literally dying, and I had body pains, and they're telling me you're fine, you're completely fine, you don't have COVID, right? At that time, it was still earlier on, right? So they're like, instead of testing me for COVID, no, they're just like, oh, you don't have breathing problems, right? So don't worry about it. I mean, are you crazy? I have every other problem. I'm like bleeding, right, when I go to a washroom, right? And like everything else, are you freaking crazy? And I just feel like these people touting the great Canadian healthcare system. Well, I mean, I guess it is great, right? It is, honestly, because I haven't been to that healthcare system for 35 years. I only started going after 35 years, right? When I had serious problems. And this is what I get, right? I mean, if you don't have any problems and you just want to walk in and get a paper that says, hey, you're sick today, right? That's the great Canadian healthcare system, right? They just write you a note for your employer, this guy's sick. So, you give him a day off, right? That's pretty much it. There isn't anything. I'm like sitting around, are you freaking serious? Like, this is, like, aren't you supposed to help people become normal again? But no, that's not what they're supposed to do here, and I don't think that's what happens in other hospitals. I mean, if you cut off your finger, right, they're gonna ask you, hey, where's your finger so we can attach it for you. Are you freaking I don't know what the hell people are smoking here, because I heard that some of the doctors here do smoke drugs and stuff like that. So I'm like, and that's to supposedly help them cope with their anxiety. And I'm like sitting around, are you freaking serious? Because in other countries, it is unheard of. Like doctors smoking and taking drugs and stuff. It is completely crazy. And I am not too enthusiastic about it. And yeah, this is the great healthcare system I'm promised.